I see it over and over. I see people who, for lack of a better description, are not professionally qualified to be pushing people into fitness, but they're doing something important. They're getting exercise adherence, and they're starting their business. I guarantee you have exactly what you need to do right now. Let's talk about my niche, which is yoga. You probably know enough to get somebody who's willing to pay you $200 an hour and get them to do the most rudimentary exercises. Now, I'm here to make sure that you polish off your practice on your own time. I'm not necessarily here to give you business advice, but everybody knows this. You probably know enough to get your business going right now. On Cobra Flows, I'm just trying to keep a quality control in the yoga world. Nobody's really minding the shop, to be honest. Anybody sets up a yoga teacher training, and it didn't occur to them that this is actually one of the hardest forms of training you can do. I don't mean like the mental, spiritual side, because of course everyone has that figured out, right? Everyone's a guru. But you need to consider weighted stretching. You need to consider minimum threshold of intensity during a stretch. It's way more important to achieve a little bit of intensity, even if that time under tension is just a few seconds. And the way I coach is I coach breath counts. I'd rather see someone do a long 2 or 3 rounds of breath than trying to get them to hold something for 20 seconds and they're just holding their breath, waiting to get to the end of that 20 seconds. You have to have at least a little bit of intensity. And the thing is, if you're training older people, I'd argue they need a little bit more intensity than a young person. A young person is, by definition, more limber, so they can get away with less intense stretching and still maintain mobility. Old people need a little bit more of a thorough stretching of that old sinew, you know what I'm saying? And by old people, to be honest, I mean anyone over 30, okay? It depends on who you are. If you didn't do jack with your body in your 20s, then probably 25 and up. Now, considering a new generation of kids that are just sitting down, playing video games, using cell phones, that age is probably getting lower. What the heck is the point of all these weights and all these machines if you can't even move the joint? So, I don't know, man. I don't know. I do know. And it's Cobra Flows. Cobra Flows is one of the answers. It's my business. It's my life's work now. Straight up, yo. Find a little bit of that intensity, okay? Everyone's catching on to this now, but it's nothing new. Use some weights. Take a single yoga pose. Grab a kettlebell. Okay, push into that yoga pose with some weight. Otherwise, it's going to take you like 15 years to gain mobility, because straight up it takes like 10 times the amount of time for your joints to acclimate and adapt to new mobility. And this is the difference between like snowboarding and surfing in your 40s and 50s and 60s and being a fat sack of potatoes, okay? I don't care how strong you are. It's unlikely that you're going to be pursuing strength training regimens to the level of any professional degree. But I think almost everyone can get super flexible. I think the human body is actually really, really, really adaptable to that regard. I mean, just look at cats and stuff. Look at cats and dogs and monkeys and all sorts of animals. And I mean, this is why we're naming these yoga poses after these animals. Get some inspiration from nature, Good luck, friends.